Okay, here we go. Thank you. All right, welcome to the Establishing Fire Safe Councils in the Greater Winters Area meeting. My name is Tanya Meyer. I'm a program manager at the Resource Conservation District, and I welcome you guys all here tonight. It's great that everyone can make it. I am with the Yolo County Resource Conservation District, and for those of you who don't know what a Resource Conservation District is, we're a local district. We have a local board of directors. We've got farmers and ranchers and folks who do ag-related work on our boards of directors. Our mission is to improve and sustain the natural resources of our district, which is defined by county lines, usually, and it is in Yolo County. We're mostly grant funded, and we have been focusing a lot on habitat restoration, invasive plant control, water quality issues. We're moving into fire planning and prevention because that is protecting a major natural resource when your trees all burn up. The purpose of this meeting is to inform you all about fire safe councils and then offer you support in starting your own fire safe councils. So our meeting agenda, we're going to try to stick to it pretty closely. We have a few key speakers that are going to introduce themselves quickly. And then we have a guest speaker from the California Fire Safe Council, which is a nonprofit that supports local fire safe councils, who's going to give us a little background on what these wonderful entities are. And then we're going to explain a little bit about our countywide fire safe council as opposed to community fire safe councils. And then we're going to go into breakout rooms, and I'll go into that a little bit more when we get there. So we'll have about 20 minutes in our breakout rooms. Before we get going, Elizabeth Lamar from the California Fire Safe Council was going to be one of our breakout room facilitators, and she was sick today and couldn't make it. We're really grateful to have Mala here. So grateful. So thank you guys for supporting us and giving us some directions and pointers. I also want to introduce Kurt Johnson from our County Office of Emergency Services. We've been working closely with y'all.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Yeah, thank you for being here. So that's the agenda. I'm going to ask Heather, Chris, Mala, and Chief Brad Lopez to introduce yourself. So Heather, why don't you go first?
My name is Heather Nichols. I am the Executive Director of the Yolo County Resource Conservation District. I am really excited to be able to help our county with this effort and the community. So that's all I'll say for now. Thanks.
Great, thank you. And Chris?
I'm Chris Rose. I'm the Executive Director for the Solano Resource Conservation District. And I too, this is a big issue and it's going to take a lot of teamwork, and I'm glad to see a lot of familiar faces, and I'm sure we can make it happen.
Thank you. And Mala?
Hi, thanks for letting me be here. It's a pleasure. My name's Mala Arthur. I'm the Southern California Regional Coordinator with the California Fire Safe Council. And I'm here because I'm the only person left standing within the regional coordinator. So, but I have started my own Fire Safe Council, so I'm really familiar with the whole background. And the California Fire Safe Council is focused on the community level of involvement. We're not here to tell anybody what to do or anything like that. We just want to support you however you need support. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chief Lopez?
Hi, good afternoon. Brad Lopez, City of Winters Fire Chief. Thank you for having me, and excited to be here. Thank you.
Great. So what we're going to do is Mala's going to give us a little background on fire safe councils, and then Heather and Chris are going to talk about local versus county, and then in our breakout rooms we'll introduce each other. The rest of us will introduce each other to one another. So Mala, take it away. I'm going to advance your slides for you, which means I need to start screen sharing. All right, can y'all see that? Uh-oh.
It says Tanya has started screen sharing, but it's black. as far as I
Oh,
can
that's
see anyway.
interesting. Okay, because I can see it. Things are frozen.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
I can just say it. I mean, we don't have to do PowerPoint.
I
I
know,
think
but
we are going to need it for ours.
Yeah.
the whole thing just froze up. Ah,
Okay, have you unshared? Try
okay.
that.
Hi, everyone. I'm back. That was weird.
Try minimizing your Zoom screen. See
Yeah,
if
that's
that
what it's doing right now. Okay, I'm going to try again. That was really not fun. Okay, here goes. Now, do you see it?
Yay.
Okay, and I can see you. That was awful. Okay, no fun. Okay, so establishing fire safe councils in the greater Winters area. Here we go. Okay, and it's not advancing. Heather, we have a gremlin in our system here. There we go. Okay, so here's our agenda. I briefly went over it already, but just to see, Mala's got about 5 minutes to talk about fire safe councils, and then Heather and Chris have about 10 minutes to give you some background information. And then we've got about 25 minutes for breakout sessions, and then we'll try to wrap up. We'll return to the main session. Then there will be time. Obviously, the breakout sessions will be very interactive, and then we'll have time for questions at the end too, if you're in one breakout session and you want to ask about something else. Okay, whew. Okay, Mala, take it away.
Cool. So what can a fire safe council do? So you can read the words just as easily as I can read them to you, but basically it's a really powerful tool to get a group of individuals together who live near each other or work near each other or both, and who want to make everybody more safe from fires. Please advance the slide. All right, so what do you start? How do you start this thing? What do you do? So this is not, a hard and fast set in concrete, you have to do it in this order thing. These are just suggestions. Every community is different. Every fire safe council is different. However you do it that works for you guys is fine. Okay, we're not telling you have to do it in this order, but kind of generally, you might want to consider doing it in this order until you find a reason not to. So first, you need to do a community risk assessment, and that can involve mapping, because you want to know what you have. How many houses do you have? How many empty lots do you have? Who owns the land that's vacant, especially if you have wildland near you? Where is the control of that land? And then you'll want to identify priority projects, and some of those may or may not include your own community emergency notification system, which could be something as basic as everybody has an air horn, and when somebody fires off the air horn, you go outside to see what's going on, all the way through a sophisticated piece of software that can call, email, and or text everybody within a minute or two. And that is up to you entirely what you decide to do, but people need to be alerted. And as you all know, you can't always depend on big government to come and do that for you. You'll want to find ways to prepare homes and individuals. You'll want to find ways to prepare land, including yards and non-residential areas. And both of the purposes of those are to make it less likely for fire and for embers to come do some destruction, and more likely for people to be able to get out without being injured, hopefully with their family and pets, in the event of a fire. And then, of course, evacuation preparedness and education. Again, this is not in any order. You can do it whatever order you want or need to do it in. So a fire safe council doesn't need funding unless you're really, really lucky. You can get funding from grants, you can do fundraising, you can get donations, you can have memberships where people pay a monthly fee to be a part of the fire safe council, and then you do special things for them. You can have sponsorships. There's also other ways. So these are just suggestions, but something you might want to think about is how to fund your Fire Safe Council. You'll also need to develop a messaging plan because you're going to want to communicate what you're doing and why. You're going to want to ask people what's important to them and make sure they are on board with the whole idea of what you're doing. And you'll want to do some education. So some people are really gung-ho on social media. Some people are gung-ho on postcards. Some people are gung-ho on meeting people and talking to them. So whatever works for your community. So then you're going to, assuming you're all set up and you've got some funding, you're going to want to implement some projects. Hopefully you have a priority list. So first you're going to educate people about what you want to do and why, and figure out exactly what things you can and cannot do. Then you're going to want to plan exactly when and how to do it. You're going to implement it. And then in the end, you'll complete the job. You're going to need documentation. Even if it's not grant funded, you're still going to need documentation. And then you can have a celebration because you did it. So that's why a Fire Safe Council is awesome and is a good idea. And I hope to be able to answer lots of questions later in the session. Thanks.
Great, thank you. That was a good overview. So now we'll drill down a little bit into more what we're doing locally. So the next slide.
Okay, thanks, Tanya. Thanks, Mala, for going over that. This is showing you what we're doing that can support what Mala just talked about. Part of what's happening right now is, if you were at the last meeting, hopefully this will be a repeat, I apologize, but because we had Yolo County had a Countywide Fire Safe Council meeting before this, and I had the same exact slide, but so the Yolo County Resource Conservation District got a grant that went into contract just 2 weeks after the LNU fire. So it was something that we'd been working on for a couple of years to try to get to develop a community wildfire protection plan. So this is something that we have just started in Yolo County. Solano County Solano County RCD has just applied to get their CWPP, or Community Wildfire Protection Plan. And a lot of what will be done for our community fire safe councils is the mapping that was talked about, the identifying of, we'll be working with our community fire safe councils and the community groups to identify what your priorities are and what your issues are and what you don't know. But there'll be a lot of the mapping part's going to be covered in this process, a countywide process. So that's good. And then including all of your projects that you want to do in your neighborhood will also be included. It may not, we may be able to find funding for those at the countywide level. Sometimes it's easier to get things at a community level. It's going to be a mix, but we kind of want to go at all levels to be able to do what we can do to help support at the community, for the community scale, and empower you with information and support to get things done, just at the neighborhood scale too. So this is, forget what exactly why I wanted to tell you about this, but there is a little community wildfire protection plan for the greater Winters area. And then we're working on one in Yolo County for the entire county. So go ahead and move it forward. And this is the main slide I wanted to show you. This is the idea that we're trying to support all of our community scale efforts with a countywide fire safe council. And one of the things, for example, is so this map shows high fire area, high fire risk areas. It kind of shows what we're trying to do here. Where is the major high risk areas? And then the community is telling us this, we want to form a Cape Bay Valley Fire Safe Council, which they are working on now. This is more in the greater Winters area. There'll be a Solano slide here in a minute, but this is sort of the idea. There are particular areas of our county that have community members wanting to form and take care of their communities. And then the countywide effort, we're going to be helping to deliver, statewide and federal funding down to the community level. One of the things, for example, that we know is going to be needed is just fuels reduction. So there is a state grant coming to the region that we're Solano and Yolo are working on that will one of the things we can apply for funding for is to have, to get together a crew, buy a chipper, and have a chipper on for efforts that you want to do, and have a crew and be able to fund that crew to chip fuels reduction. So that's just an idea that we want to hear more and more from the community groups that are forming. And we are going to be reaching out to the groups that do form as part of the community wildfire protection plan CWPP process, and asking what your priority projects are, so that we can include those in a countywide plan and continue to seek funding for those and get those projects done. It's all really about getting projects done and being able to help out at the community level and get you what you need. So let's see, I think the next slide. Oh yeah, I'm going to turn it over to Chris actually, because this is the Solano County slide.
Yeah, it looks very, very similar, but I have to say the artistry is all YOLO RCD here. I did move a few things around. Anyway, I know this can be confusing for several of you that have been to several meetings. It's not confusing, but to others, we're talking about several different concepts here. Essentially, why I'm going to go back over it. But basically, why a county-wide fire safe council? Well, it's to implement that prioritized list of projects, or that strategic plan, which is basically the community wildfire protection plan. It's to collaborate to solve problems. It's to support community fire safe councils. And it's also, we're seeing at the beginning of this process as a financial go through or a fiduciary. I know a lot of groups are started and we have our community, but gosh, what if we do get $15,000? How do we write checks? How do we do that? Like, what's our bank? So this is a service that the RCDs can provide. So the why community fire safe councils? Well, this is basically your local groups that are identifying your own risks and identifying your own priorities that feed into the CWPP plan as far as becoming the priorities in your areas, but also you have your own set priorities. And then when monies become available, you can actually utilize those to carry out your own priorities in your areas, because no one knows how to get things done on the ground. No one knows your areas better than you do. So that's basically what it is. Other community efforts are, I think Heather had mentioned, prescribed burn associations. This is another thing that we're possibly, with the funding that's coming in, we're gonna incorporate. And then also the idea of a Firewise community, which is more of a designation that you can actually reach. A fire safe council can designate an area as a Firewise community and basically tick all the boxes and then get checked off as a Firewise community. And that's another way to go about it. And then the map that you see is those are areas that right off the bat, there are other groups that are already meeting, and there are other people that I've talked to, and just very surface level geographical areas that seem likely to start them. But this is just throwing stuff up on the wall. The process hasn't started yet, and you are all creating your own fire safe council areas, not me or the county. Okay. So in a county fire safe council, the idea is that it is the, how do I say, umbrella. It's not essentially the agency that's overseeing the other small fire safe councils, but more of a resource for the other fire safe councils to use. So I want that to be clear. And the idea is that there are all these different community members, or the people that can answer the questions that you all have. There was actually a Pleasant Valley Fire Safe Council kickoff meeting this Sunday. And a lot of the questions that happened or that were asked were very kind of similar, at least the ones that were asked to me personally, about utilities and tree felling and riparian areas, and whether you can knock down the trees or clean out a creek area, or whether you had to get permits. the idea of the Fire Safe Council stakeholders at a larger level is that there's representatives from each of the Fire Safe Councils, the leads, but then also you bring in all those people that can answer those questions and be a part of that decision-making on that larger level. So each time one of these questions is answered, there's someone at the table that can answer it.
And just to follow up with what Chris said, you can see in this graphic that, you know, one of the stakeholder groups of the Countywide Fire Safe Council is going to be these community fire safe councils. So, you know, when you're thinking about forming a group, you'll need leaders to come to the Countywide Fire Safe Council and participate at that level. So that would be something to think about. One of the things we learned as, you know, Chris and Tanya and I have been talking with counties from all over the state and how different areas do things. And one of the things that I thought was really kind of illustrating this whole thing that we're trying to communicate here was actually from San Diego County. They have a Countywide Fire Safe Council where SDG&E, which is the PG&E down there, and the fire chiefs and the county governments all sit there, but also representatives from something like 46 different fire safe councils. So they meet on maybe a monthly or quarterly basis, whatever it is, and all these different community groups come to the Countywide Fire Safe Council. And for example, there was a fire, and one of the groups was reporting that it took a long time for fire service to reach their homes, and why did it take so long? So they were saying, hey, something has to change here. And the fire district in the room who was serving that area said, we were trying as hard as we could. We had there were a lot of different address labels, for different homes, and it was hard to navigate where exactly we're going. It slowed us down. And so the SDG&E folks said, hey, we have a program, for updating address markings to make it easier. So just having that conversation, all the right people in the room, you start to identify those problems together with all the right people and solve them. So it's not just about, getting grant funds. It's also about, like what Chris was saying, people who can answer your questions and get you what you need. So that's why there needs to be both, that it looks like it would work well for our counties to have both of these things. Is able to solve problems quickly and get you what you need, basically.
Yeah.
So.
And I have one more thing to say is that there's a lot of different ways you can do this, right? There are over 150 fire safe councils, and then probably out of that, there's, I don't know how many different structures that have been set up. So in some places, it's actually a nonprofit that is the hub go-to for all the fire safe councils. But one thing that was universal to all the folks that we were talking to, whether they be from Northern or Southern California, is that it's really important to have a structure in place. And boy, we wish we had worked on getting a structure in place, because it is awesome that we need to move fast, and we need to start these fire safe councils, to start these meetings and get going. But the idea is that we're going to be building the structure as we go, so that as we get them started, we're going to have this structure, and it may change over time. So.
I advance the next slide. Okay, well, we're pretty much right on time. So, so breakout rooms, just a word on breakout rooms. So we have this map here. Breakout rooms are not fire safe councils. We have 4 facilitators, so we have 4 breakout rooms. The point of the breakout room is to meet folks who want to dig in and start a fire safe council, and identify key leaders and contact people for those groups, and set up a leadership team meeting, which is the folks who are going to be leading your fire safe council. I'm going to remind facilitators to ask somebody to take notes or use QuickTime to record your breakout session, since the only one will be recorded is the one that I'm in. You can go to whichever breakout room you want to. But just, again, don't be hung up on this map. It's a breakout room map. It's not a fire safe council map. It could be, but that's something that you'll have to decide. The other thing I wanted to say is that apparently if you have an older version of Zoom, you may not be able to choose your breakout room. So I'm going to hang back and not join my room right away so that I can assign people to the rooms that they want to go to. So this could get a little bit messy. I hope it doesn't, but you never know. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Here we all are. Okay, so breakout rooms. Just to reiterate, there's a Golden Bear, Positas Road breakout room. There's Winters. There's Olive School, Canal Lane, and then there's Lake Solano, Pleasance Valley, Sackett Lane. So let's see, breakout rooms. I can open all the rooms. Heather's going to be in the Winters group. I'm going to be in the Golden Bear group. Mala's going to be Olive School, Canal, and Chris will be Lake Solano, Pleasance Valley, Sackett. Okay, so let me know if this doesn't work, but here goes. Breakout rooms. Can you see anything? No. Okay.
I see your smiling face.
Well, I'm going to be frowning pretty soon. Okay. It wants me to assign you all. No, that's not how I set it up. Oh, this is so frustrating. Okay.
You can do this, Tanya.
I don't want to have to assign everybody to rooms.
I recognize that voice.
The way that I had set this up is you could, okay, I'm just going to start assigning folks. I'm going to ask you where you want to go, and then I'm going to send you there. So actually, Chief Lopez, I know you want to go to Golden Bear, so off you go. And Brenda, off you go. And Brendan Sweeney, where would you like to go? Okay, moving on. Chris Drake.
Lake Solano, please.
Yeah, actually, I knew that. Okay, Christopher Rose, I know where you're going.
There's some chats going too, Tanya.
Okay, I can't multitask. Debbie Hunter.
Golden Bear.
Okay, Deb D'Angelo.
I'll read you a few too after this.
Okay. Well, that-
Positas Road.
Yeah, it's the clicking that's the slow part. Don Palm.
Olive School, please.
Okay, Edward Booth.
Winters.
Elaine.
Winters.
Heather, you're going to Winters. Jeffrey.
Pleasance Valley.
Kate is going to Winters. Ken. You're going Positas Golden Bear. Yeah, Kate, I'm going to send you to Winters. Brendan Sweeney, you there? All right, moving on. Kurt, I know where you're going. Okay, Kurt Johnson, we're going to wait to see. Kara's going to Golden Bear. Mala is going to Olive School. Is going to Golden Bear. Randy, where do you want to go?
Olive School.
Olive School, right? Okay, and Rose, Pleasance Valley.
Thank you.
Christine Daguerre.
Pleasance Valley.
And Kurt, what are you still doing here?
No.
Brendan Sweeney, are you there? Okay, Kristen Selheim.
Olive School, please.
Okay.
Looks like Brendan wants to go to Winters from the chat.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Yep.
Oded, where do you want to go?
Pleasant Valley, please.
Okay. All right, Patty.
Winters.
Sarah Simmons.
Winters, please.
And then Gerardo. Okay, Christine. Kurt, where do you want to go?
I'll go with you.
Okay. All right, so I've got a couple of unassigned. I'm just gonna throw you in. Okay. Now, how do I get to where I'm supposed to go? And Kurt, what are you still doing here?
I'm waiting for you.
Oh, I thought I put you in a room.
You're supposed to put me in.
I know I'm
Second
supposed to.
Solano.
I know, but why aren't you there? According to this, oh, there you
I
go.
don't know.
There you go.
All right.
I see you.
Bye. Oh, not gone yet.
Nope. Apparently, okay, you should already be in. Is there two of you?
I don't think there are two of me.
I only have the, according to this, you're already in. So I don't know.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to leave the meeting and join the other one. Let's see if that works.
Okay, yeah, try that. And then I'm gonna, oh, there you
Tanya,
go.
this is Christine. I think I'm in twice. Can you put me the second one in Pleasance Valley?
I cannot, actually.
can't?
Apparently
Oh.
you're already in Pleasance Valley.
Yeah, but I'm on a, yeah, never mind.
You're on
I just don't
something
have
weird.
I don't have a mic for the other unit, so that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I don't know what to do with you.
Niels?
Niels Capel. I live in Golden Bear. I've been on the Fire Safe Council or the fire committee with Neil Van Alphen and other people for, I guess, 6 or 7 years now.
So Tanya's here now. You want to take over, Tanya? We've gotten most of the way through the introductions. You want me to finish them off?
Please do, because I still have somebody swimming in cyberspace that I need to try to.
Okay. We're almost done here. Neil Van Alphen.
Yeah, Neil, I'm the Neil Van Alphen, Golden Bear. I've served as the chair of our fire safety committee for, I think we've been operating at least 7 years, and serving the function of just basically what we're trying to organize a fire safe council to do. So we've been in operation doing most of the things that were listed for that period of time.
Great. And Kurt Johnson. Kurt's in
With
yeah.
good. Kurt Johnson with the Yolo County Office of Emergency Services.
And that's everyone I see. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, this is weird because we are missing a few people according to my list. So I'm a bit at a loss because I have this whole thing all set up. There's supposed to be 10 of us in here.
10 is what I see.
You see 10 people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. Okay. Thank you for leading that while I was throwing people into their rooms. So who wants to be a note taker? I can do
Not
it.
me.
I can do it. I'll take some notes because I was gonna
note taking.
I was gonna ask folks or whoever decided to take the notes to give them to me anyway. So okay. So just by you guys being here, you're obviously interested in being in the Fire Safe Council. So well, Brad, why don't you talk a little bit about the meeting that we had yesterday?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Thank you. So some of you folks were here yesterday. We held a meeting with our Golden Bear folks and also had interest to include really everybody within the Casitas Golden Bear area. And at Mr. Van Alphen's request, reached out to me, and I kind of helped facilitated putting this meeting together. So yesterday with our meeting, we met with a number of community members of the Golden Bear Estates community. I brought in Tanya Meyer with YOLO RCD, Yolo County OES, myself, which I also not only serve as the fire chief for the city of Winters, but I also serve as vice chair for the Yolo County Fire Safe Council, which we are really gearing up and starting ourselves from a county level perspective. But in yesterday's meeting, really just provided an open opportunity to have some really good level of discussions, one with the county and the resources that we have available, but also hear from you folks concerns, some of the history of fires that we've had over the past 7 years, which we're all very familiar with, and you are as well. But it sounds like there is interest and a desire to form a local fire safe council, which I think is a really tremendous opportunity to collaborate and really kind of leverage and look for solutions to address some of our concerns with the past fires we've had. So that yesterday's meeting was really just kind of sparked the opportunity to engage with you folks and kind of see what the desires are and kind of moving forward with the Fire Safe Council. It didn't sound like I had the opportunity to reach some of our Placitas residents, and I apologize for that. I really didn't have contacts, but I see this here now as an opportunity to really engage you with that and include you as we move forward in forming whatever the Fire Safe Council you see being, and really just being here as a resource for you. The other thing that I did include, and I don't know if I'm able to share it now, but I created a Google form that really provided folks an opportunity to enter their contact information, email address, and then also kind of identify your evacuation zones. Two things we really highlighted yesterday just for more for public education and getting the message out is one, know your zone. And that can be found at YOLO County's Know Your Zone website. And then the other one is YOLO Alert and receiving alert notifications as we're coming into the fire season here. So that was another opportunity to extend those resources out to you. But I did create a QR code, if you will, to kind of establish a spreadsheet list for contacts for everybody to kind of help formalize outreach, not only for me to being able to reach out to you, but kind of really between communities, if you will, to collaborate and have that level of discussion of what your fire safe council might look like, what, who wants to be involved and really help form that committee. Other than that, Tanya, would you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, that's pretty much, again, our goals is to meet each other, and I'm guessing you guys probably mostly know each other. And then to say who wants to be the point of contact, who wants to interface with the county fire safe council, who wants to set an agenda for community meetings.
So I have a bigger question, I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
Which I think we could kick around here really optimally. We've had a long history of some confusion between Placitas and Golden Bear. Is that we're always sort of incorporated in Golden Bear for emergency responding, rightly or wrongly, but usually it leads the first responders astray because we aren't Golden Bear. We're a couple of miles away and we have a different road access. Our evacuations are different. We have a whole bunch of different concerns out here. So I'm wondering whether it wouldn't be better to actually split this and not have the big gorilla Golden Bear and the small little mini bear Placitas Road in the same fire safe council, but maybe have two, affiliated, cooperative, share resources, share ideas, talk to each other, but maybe have two different organizations so everyone knows that they're actually different places. How does that sound, everybody?
If I could jump in, Ken, in many ways, I agree with you. Golden Bear has been functioning in many ways like a fire safe council, and basically everything that was listed for some time now, and working very well because we're very we're all connected. We have, our organization as a homeowners association, and we just function as an arm of that. We asked for a meeting with Chief Lopez to basically ask his advice as to whether we should expand the concept of a fire safe council beyond just Golden Bear, because we had decided we were going to formally form a fire safe council. And so this meeting yesterday was basically to go talk about this very issue that you brought up. Should there be one big one that would extend from Positas south, basically to the Hunter's property? Or should there be separate ones? And the one that that I've always thought might make more sense to be separate was Positas, for the very reasons you're talking about. You have different issues in some ways than we have. And although we're—
And the other thing I'd like to toss out with everyone listening is we also, like you, have been basically working as our own fire safe council for years. We have a little text phone tree. We've talked post-fire stuff and pre-fire stuff every year. We coordinate. So we already are a separate entity in that way from you guys. You don't know what we're doing. We don't know what you're doing, but we're both doing the same stuff.
Yeah, I would say too that we actually have more affinity to the second lane group because we look right onto second lane, across the creek, and they come right off of Pleasant Valley Road. So if we were going to be lumped in, my only concern about having Positas Road be completely separate is I'm concerned we won't get buy-in from maybe 50% of the neighbors. We have quite a different community up here, one branch of the road versus the other. And sometimes there's power in numbers, but that's a bigger question I have about this is to what level is CAL FIRE going to be engaged? Because CAL FIRE is actually the agency. There are, Winters has been great. They're often our first responder. We've even had North Plainfield Township volunteer firefighters, but CAL FIRE really has jurisdiction over our area, and they regulate, and they're supposed to do the inspections. And there's been conflicting information in the past by somebody who talked to a bulldozer driver and somebody who talked to a volunteer firefighter and somebody who talked to CAL FIRE. And, they've gotten different information about what they should be doing to protect their home. And I just think that CAL FIRE needs to be engaged somehow from the get-go on this. But I don't know if they have the ability to do that.
Yeah, Brenda, I'd be happy to answer that. I can assure you CAL FIRE is very involved in the Fire Safe Council process through Yolo County. They do have a battalion chief that represents CAL FIRE on this. We also, even at the local level within the Winters community, I have direct connections with one of the battalion chiefs, Miguel Watson. So we're in direct conversations along this topic here. Great. And the concerns that you have in each of your communities. We're very familiar with them. We're very familiar with the hazards that you've addressed and that we are very aware of. So they are engaged, they're on board, and they're a big key component because you're right. Ultimately, sorry.
I love the sound of a ringing phone.
Yeah, they have jurisdiction, you're right, because you fall within the state responsibility area. But they also they bring some assets and resources to the game, if you will. They're a state agency, and they do provide significant resources. There's grant funding out there to work on identified projects. So yes, they're definitely engaged on board, and we have, they're a part of this.
Yeah, I think
to take off on what Chief Lopez said, I think the other thing to just remind everybody is, regardless of who your fire jurisdiction is, the fire safe councils don't have to fit the perimeter of a fire jurisdiction or a city or a community. They could be a single street in a town that wants to have autonomy in the decision making of their own fire safety.
Yeah, it's sort of, we're not gonna, it's up to you guys, and it does sound like it might make more sense to be separate, but it does also sound like the issue of getting them confused should somehow be clarified. But just a reminder, when there's the heat of battle, when there's a fire going, there's firefighters from, from San Diego. So, it doesn't matter what your fire safe council is, they're still going to be confused.
I wanted to chime in. I like Ken's idea of splitting the Positas area off from Golden Bear, because with my horse at Emerald Hills, I noticed for Golden Bear is way too late. So my suggestion would be from possibly where the turn is, where the MEN ranch is, all the way to the county line, to the Solano County line, because you have other things up the road just a ways. And frequently we've had fires break out near the dam that blew east. And that's one corridor before you get to Pleasance Valley Road. And I know it's across county lines, but you have those people living immediately contiguous to the creek, like the organic ranch and some of the people that got burned out. I know that's over the line, but they feel connected to us. But that area has a different problem than Golden Bear because it's wide open space. The wind tunnels in from the dam. So what is a small fire at 10 o'clock at the dam is a massive fire at 12 o'clock if the wind is blowing the right way. But there's still a whole piece of county sitting there from Positas Lane to the Solano County line that I think we have to consider that, because frequently the fires are out there. They're out at Bobcat Ranch, they're out at the dam, and that's their origin. So the Positas Lane is sort of the first line of contact for a lot of these big fires.
Yeah, tell us about it.
Yeah, and
yesterday at our meeting, there was a very strong representation of the folks from basically the Pleasant Valley Road south to Golden Bear that wrap around the boundaries of the Bobcat Ranch towards 128. And they were very strongly supportive of wanting to join with Golden Bear in forming a council. So they saw their issues as common with ours. And at that point, we also talked about, and there was quite a bit of support for the idea of Positas joining as well, so that we would have a greater fire council representing basically from Positas down to Road 87D. But as having expressed your concerns, and our experience is that really these have to be community based. You have to have the homeowners, the members of the community to see a sense of identity of who they are and what their issues are together, to work together. And I think has got to be what drives the formation of these councils, is how they see themselves and how they see commonality with other neighbors, and how to work together to reduce the danger to them. And so, in Golden Bear, we've already been working together, but we're more than happy to expand to encompass a whole new group and reorganize ourselves, not just have an addition to Golden Bear, but to reorganize into a new organization. But I think it really has to be driven by what those people, the community wants, and how they want to see themselves.
Yeah, I agree. We should leave this open, let everyone decide within reasonable limits. I'm curious, Neil, did the people along Sackett Lane specifically turn up at your recent meeting, and did they chime in that voice that you just quoted?
The Sackett Lane, remind me where Sackett Lane is.
So it's the one that's right behind the campground campground that goes along the creek up toward the Four Winds?
No, we were strictly on the Yolo County side.
Oh, I heard you say Pleasant Valley. You meant Pleasance View then?
Yeah, the Pleasant Valley extension and the dirt road into on the Yolo County side.
Probably
There's a
Pleasant View
Pleasant
Road.
Valley Road
That's
that is a
Pleasant View
dirt
Road
road,
that goes up.
gravel road.
Yeah, so there's a
I'm sorry.
new homeowner there at the end of Pleasance View Road. There's a new house under construction. So is that the road
No,
you're
they're-
talking about?
Okay, I got
There are
it.
3 or 4 houses back there.
Yeah. So,
So
you know, one thing I think that'll come up that's similar to what Neil was saying about Golden Bear and our access being different is the second lane, you know, runs right off Pleasant Valley Road behind the Solano County Campground and up towards the dam. And I know they in the past have felt like they get confused with Quail Canyon. The Quail Canyon access, like we're within, you know, half a mile of the entrance to second lane. And we're right off Highway 128, but the entrance to Quail Canyon, the only access is from way down Pleasant Valley Road. And so there's been confusion there as well. And so I know that concerns them. So, you know, those are the kinds of things, maybe we need to be talking directly to some of those neighbors and see how they
Yeah,
feel.
I have to bring us back to the goal of this session, which is to identify leaders for your fire safe council, which is at this point, probably all of you, for your separate fire safe councils, working together. And then set another meeting for the leadership team, because it's actually 5 to 6. So we did have sort of a bumpy start, but I just wanted to like nail that down. And then, you know, you have like, you know, Brenda, I mean, all the access stuff and confusion, that's all something to be worked on. But right now we're just trying to, you know, get you
Yeah,
together.
I think that makes a difference on what is the fire safe council.
That is true. That is true. But I don't think we're going to decide that in the next couple minutes.
If I may add also, in our meeting yesterday and kind of the methodology that I kind of foresee in structuring the council was looking at it from a perspective of an evacuation zone. So the Golden Bear Estate, the Placitas area, all along 128, all the way out to Cane Creek Resort. Correct me if I'm wrong, is zone 59. But you can create one fire safe council within that zone, have representation from each of the communities that help form that fire safe council locally. And then also bring forward, obviously, all the challenges or concerns from each of those communities. Looking at it from that, you're more of a unified front. There's an education component that everybody knows and understands their evacuation zone with that. And then to leverage resources from really just, you know, a regional perspective. Each community has different challenges and some uniqueness, but whatever projects that may be needed or are done influence another community adjacent to that. So the ability to collaborate and leverage resources and focus efforts from a larger perspective seem to make sense. But I also encourage you, obviously are very welcome to segregate and kind of fractionize your safe councils if you see that being a better fit.
Yep.
You know, I think to go back to you, Tanya, and your question, how do we go from here? I think it's already happening.
Yeah. And actually people are leaving.
That is, yeah, I mean, you've got 2 groups now that have said we're interested in forming it. We're all in terms of the Golden Bear one, we started yesterday by expanding into the additional group, and we agreed to meet again to further further discuss what we want to do. So I think it's happening. It sounds like Placitas wants to do the same thing. So, you know, I think you just have to let it happen.
Yep, for sure. Okay, so it's almost 6 o'clock and other groups are closing. So we didn't set a meeting, which it sounds like we can, you know, I think we need another get together.
We'll let you know when we meet.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so I'm closing
Okay, Tanya, you're every way. It automatically muted you when you came back into into this room. So,
Okay, thanks for that. Well, that was, the last time I did breakout rooms, it was a bit of a bumpy ride. Everyone's coming back together. That's awesome.
are you going to have each group report something in, Tanya?
Well, that's something we should talk about because it's 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I don't want to I want to respect everybody's time. Can you see my screen here?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, it would, if we were doing like a deep facilitation, we should all share what we did in our breakout rooms. I will ask, did each room have a note taker, and do you know who was in your group? Okay. So it's 6 o'clock. We're running a little late. We probably should have scheduled an hour and a half, but that's a little bit tough at this time of the day. So I guess I'll ask the question, did everybody do what they were supposed to do? We all met each other in my group. Leaders were not quite identified, and the team is going to set a meeting. So hopefully that happened with everybody. But just to go over the next steps. So Elizabeth Lamar is filling in for the Northern California Fire Safe Council Regional Coordinator, who will be starting. His name's Michael Wilson, and he's starting June 7th. But he will be new. So Elizabeth is sort of the interim contact. And like I said earlier, she's sick today. So there, her email is there, and I'll put it in the chat if I can multitask like that. So if you have other details, like nitty gritty nuts and bolts details that we at the RCD can't answer, then you can reach out to the Fire Safe Council experts. So we're also hoping that you will hold a team meeting very soon. And then with that team, maybe consider reaching out to the greater community of wherever you have designated. And then we have Yola County Fire Safe Council meetings once a month, fourth Wednesday. So you'll want to designate a member to attend that meeting. Solano County is also forming a Fire Safe Council. So if you're in Solano County, you don't have to wait for a bit for those umbrella County Fire Safe Council meetings to happen. So gosh, there's all sorts of chats. So does anyone have any questions? I mean, maybe this created more questions than answers, but it's just a lot. There's a lot.
I'm not really clear on what's the tangible goal.
Okay, well, so one of the things that fire safe councils can do is, it was explained to me like fires are like COVID, right? If you are close to a flammable house, then your house is more flammable. So if everybody works together to clean up their community, whether it be, Golden Bear or, Canal Lane, then you're going to have a safer community overall. And you start out with your house. There are a ton of resources from the Fire Safe Council and CAL FIRE on how to make your house less susceptible to an ember storm. If there's a fire half a mile away, it could still ignite your house if it's windy and there's embers flying around. But if you've got everything cleaned up and your gutters cleaned and your vents plugged up, then your house can survive an ember storm. And if your neighbor's house, well, English Hills is a great example. I drove through there after the LNU, and there was houses next to each other, one burnt to the ground and the other standing, and that was all over that neighborhood. And that happened for a reason. So Fire Safe Council is working from the inside, from your community out to whatever buffer you have in your area to protect your community and make the whole community safer and more able to survive a fire.
So those safety standards are already in place. It's just a matter of getting people to buy in.
Correct. So a lot of things that fire safe councils do is a lot of outreach and education. Yeah. You know,
So
knocking on those neighbors' doors.
Maybe either Mala or Tanya could help with the answer to whether, how much does size help? Because obviously if you're smaller, you have a better sense of your immediate local needs, say on an individual street. But if you're bigger, you have a bigger voice at getting resources. What is your sense of the relative value of think local, act local versus be big, get more money?
I'm going to let Mala answer that one.
Okay, cool. So the model has been the small communities and very local, hyper local. But what we've found is that the hyper local fire safe councils tend to become inactive after a few years because 3 or 4 people get really burned out. And also because there's this problem called gap funding, which is where you work really hard to get a grant. Then you get a grant and you're really busy doing all the work to fulfill the grant. But while you're doing that, you don't have time to be going out looking for another grant. So after you're done with that first grant, there's this time period where you have no money and no work can happen. So one thing that's been happening over the last couple of years that's totally fascinating to watch is that very local fire safe councils have been forming alliances with each other. And they will cooperatively apply for grants if they have similar goals, or they will at least work together so that the work that's being done is adjacent or close to each other, because CAL FIRE and the Forest Service and BLM all look at adjacent projects as higher priority than individual ones that are just in isolation out on their own. And one form of a fire safe alliance is the County Fire Safe Council, which is what's being formed here. So they can help with coordinating between all of you. So I'd say start out with your local neighborhoods and get to know people and get people on board. There's a lot of things you can do without getting any grants, just education wise, and people can do on their own. And definitely evacuation planning is a big deal. And then as you get more comfortable and get more in the groove with things and get people on board, then you can start linking up with the other local area ones and have bigger goals. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's great. That sounds like a good path.
That came up in the Winters group, was what is the area? Because the Winters group sort of discussed the connection that it goes both ways, that the city of Winters is connected through the creek, to the more wildland areas, and then vice versa, the communities in those more wildland areas, are part of the Winters community. And so it sounded like there was openness to more of a collaborative approach. We actually didn't identify leaders or anything, specific to the city limits. It was more like what we discovered was the connection to the greater area. So I don't know if Kate wanted, or somebody else wanted to chime in.
We all burn together, right? I mean, so you can just do what makes sense for your geographical area, but obviously, Golden Bear and Pacitas Road, we're talking about having separate fire safe councils, but communicating. So.
Yeah, so in the Pleasance Valley, Sackett Lane, Lake Solano group, there was only, I think, 5 of us, and I took notes, and I have everyone down that's in the meeting. But basically, Rose Lovell from Morning Sun Bird Farm, actually I attended it too. I was one of the speakers. That Sunday had a kickoff meeting for the Pleasance Valley Fire Safe Council. So they're really charging ahead. And it's going to be a big area and everyone's invited. And it seems like, and you could chime in, Rose, or anyone else that was in our breakout session, that then maybe groups will kind of break off as they become more autonomous. You know, we don't know if maybe, you know, Lake Solano or Second Lane or Quail Canyon is going to be its own thing. And sometimes you don't know that until you start meeting. So we don't have actual meetings set up for all of them, but there are meetings set up for Pleasance Valley.
Okay, well, it's 10 minutes after 6. We can keep going, or folks can drop off. Is everyone clear on, more clear or less clear on next steps?
I think I'm pretty clear, and I thank you for organizing this. I'm going to check out now and appreciate it, and we'll be in touch.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to step off too. I got a couple of things I got to take care of. Thank you, Tanya and Heather, for bringing this together. Chris, for facilitating the Pleasance Valley.
Yeah, so I've got everyone's email. You know, I'll send you things that are relevant. I put my email in the chat. You can send me things that are relevant, and we'll just keep moving forward.
Pete, did you want to say something? You look like, okay, I saw you come off of.
Yeah. I was just going to say that Ken and I agreed that we would start moving forward together on talking about this. So things are happening, and like I say, Golden Bear is already functioning in many ways like we want to accomplish. So you know, we're making a lot of progress.
Yeah, thank you. This is all new to everybody, so we're figuring it out.
Kate, did you want to chime in?
Sure, but in terms of within incorporated Winters, with that group, there were a number of people in the breakout room, but two of us actually live in Winters, and so just a heads up that if there's going to be a move afoot for there being active fire safe councils within city limits, that there might need to be some additional outreach or explaining why it's important to have something like that within an incorporated area, that it's not just a wildland, right at the interface issue. But I really appreciate the opportunity to be included in this.
Yeah, so thank you all for staying with us. I think as people are dropping off, it'd be nice to just have a nice goodbye and have a good evening. And like I said, I've got a big email list by registering for this meeting. You added to it if you weren't already on it, and I'll send you relevant information. Again, thank you, Mala, for your expertise and sitting in and leading a group and all your experience.
My pleasure. I put my email in the chat also in case Elizabeth's the official person right now, but you can contact me too if you want.
Yeah, and again, there'll be a Northern California regional coordinator, and we'll fire off a bunch of emails towards him when he gets here.
It'll take him a little bit to get his feet under him, so maybe not on June 7th.
Not on June 7th.
Yeah, pretty soon after that.
All right, excellent. Okay, well, I'm going to end the meeting. So thank you guys and have a lovely evening.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
All right.
Have a good evening.
Safe.
All right. Bye.